It's Lea right here on Lea Live and Unleashed, right on Pirate Radio 104.7 and 92.5 all over northern Colorado. Gosh, I'm so glad it's Friday, I can't even tell you. And I'm so glad you're here with me. I've been thinking about you all week, gathering up some newsy things, trying to figure out what gets kind of lost in the minutia of the week, what's important, what isn't, and so that you're aware of what's coming down the pike. That's what we're trying to do here for sure. We sure want to keep us informed, all of us, because there's so much out there and so many things they don't really want us to know about. And they get them up in the news and then they're buried on page 60 or something in the newspaper. Are there 60 sides? Not really, we know that, but I exaggerate, so forgive me. Anyway, how have you been? I've missed you. I'm thinking about you. All right, I want to thank right now our show guys, because I can't do this show certainly without Water Valley and Joanna over there in the North 40, over there in Fort Collins. How are you, Joanna? I hope you're doing well. And Eric, I hope you're feeling better. And I've got Janelle. She's here smiling. She's saying hi to everybody. And I have Terry out there in South Carolina. You're going to love the music today. And of course, my George. Of course, he knew that. And Kathy. Our darling Kathy out there, and where? Kathy out in Wyoming. Anyway, we love our Wyoming folks, and we've got some fun listeners out there. It's amazing how we're growing. And we have a new guy, Mick, so let's give Mick a good hello. Thank you, Mick. He's doing a lot of taping for us, so he's here with a camera. So we'll have a great editing, great fun stuff for the website. So how are they getting on now? Let's talk about that, George, so they can go right to, if they want to listen and you're getting ready to get out of your car, get on with your cell phone. It's so simple. How, George?
Yeah, it's called, there's several apps. One of them is called Internet Radio Player, but the other one that my wife discovered is called Simple Radio. So those are easy, fun, free apps you can download from your smartphone or to your smartphone from the Play Store, and this is iTunes or Apple products as well as Android. And you can also, if you're in your office, you can go to our website, which is pirate1047.com, pirate1047.com.
Just go to the website, yeah.
Yeah, go to our Pirate Radio website and click the Listen Now button and you'll pop up.
Right here, right at 4 o'clock, every Friday, it's us. All right, I'm going to get to the show so you know what you're going to be listening to, and I think you'll like it. Number one, I'm going to hit some newsy stuff, and you can count on that. And there's something in here that is going to blow your mind, blew my mind this week working on it. We're going to finish up the hour with Martin Lynn and Let's Talk Politics. And we'll get into all the haughty things that are going on right now with DACA and Comey. Did you know James Comey is back on the scene again? Did you know that, George? Yeah. I mean,
he's doing something.
Yeah, he did something, all right. They found out that he cleared her before they'd even finished the investigation.
Before they even finished, yes.
There you go. I know.
Of course, maybe let's give him. Let's just assume that the evidence that they found was overwhelming, good, and
they've never done. You can't get away with that. The FBI.
Some stapling of some papers and some filing.
Yeah, just stapling papers, little ice cream cones they were going to have at the end, and little cake, and then they were going to figure it out. This is absolutely bogus. Makes me nuts, but we'll talk about that more at the end. All right, I've got Lynn Moore coming on, and Lynn's out there in Virginia, and she runs the show, and she runs the linemen. You've heard that song about the county linemen? You know what they do? They climb these big telephone poles that are so high, and they get into the electricity. You think about the flooding, think about the danger of their job. They say it's literally the most dangerous job of all this, rescuing. Because they're in water and poles and heights and electricity. Not good. So she'll be on talking to us about what that entails and what these guys are actually doing. And then I've got Harvey on. And she's not connected to the Harvey, storm and flood. So, but it is Harvey, and she's a first-hand account from Rocksport, Texas. So she was right there in the middle of it, lost both homes. One she was building and one they were living in. Wait till you hear her story. It's unbelievable. Now we're going to finish up. We've been doing segments on the sex trafficking. in India. And believe it or not, the same sex trafficking is happening right here in your hometowns, in your communities. So we're hitting that because it's big there, but it's just rifling down literally into all of our communities. It is awful. It's got to be stopped, and we need to shed some light on it. So, and we will do that. Hopefully we'll finish it today. If not, we'll get it finished up next week. It's a fascinating story, and I know you're going to love it. So there we go. A big show, lots of news. And so we'll start with what I have for you. My little sacred things that I drafted for the week, kind of picking things apart. You know how much news we're inundated with every single night. I'm telling you, it can make you crazy. You have to shut it off and put a movie on, and you got to laugh, because if you watch this and you're continually involved in this, I don't know how you wouldn't go nuts. It certainly, stresses your life. And so whatever you do, try to get informed, be informed, because we need to. But we also need to have a life. All right, this thing with Comey, we are going to talk with Martin about that and see what we can come up with. We've got DACA, and that's part of the kids, the dreamers, and these kids that have come into this country illegally. Obama, just with, the arc of his pen, said, we're going to make any kid that comes in the country illegally with parents legal. And he did that in his administration, but it's got its fallbacks. Yeah, like real fallbacks, like 12 million undocumented people, illegals in this country. And they've got to take a look at it. You can't just have a country without the laws. That's why you have laws. Now, the dreamers that are already here, I guess they're taking a look at that, and hopefully they'll grandfather whatever they have to do. But I know that it's not going to go on, and it's for a reason, and it's for safety and for the protection of this country and all the citizens in it. That's why you have borders. That's why you have laws. I always hear these guys on TV, and it really gets me. I mean, they talk like they're offended because we're going to be doing something with these illegals. How could we even think of that? They're breaking the law. They never once said they get here, they're breaking the law, but that's covered up. We never talk about that. I don't get it. George, you have any thought? I do. I look at that. I want to throw one of those paper bricks at the TV or something. Like, what is you stupid man?
So it's kind of interesting because right now the policy protects deportation nearly 800,000 immigrants who entered the country illegally as children.
Yeah.
800,000 of them. Those that are still here, they're saying that they'll be able to stay until their work permits expire.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I went down to Cozumel a couple of years back to scuba dive, and I had an opportunity to speak with the dive master who's from Oklahoma, and I said, hey, how did you get a job down here? And we got to talking about that. He says, I can work down here as long as I don't take a job that's already occupied by a citizen of Mexico. I said, really? He says, yeah, in order to come down here
right.
to live
yes.
and to work, you have to bring into some form of business, whether it's internet business or these kinds of things. You cannot come down and take a job
from a natural citizen. I mean, it's like that.
So even Mexico has its own laws.
Of course they do, but they don't uphold our laws. In fact, they get on and say, how can we be so
you and I have talked about this. We're not anti anything.
No.
I totally appreciate why people want to come to this country.
Yes.
And there's hundreds of thousands of people that are doing it legally. They're applying, and yes, is it a long process? Yes. And should it be streamlined? Yes.
Yes, all of the
amazing people.
And they're looking into that right now.
Everybody should have the opportunity.
They should, but it's got to be legal. And there's got to be like a...
Because here's the other bad thing about this. A lot of people don't realize that people that come into our country illegal are doing it by the means of what they call a coyote. They're paying somebody to get them across the border.
Of course they are.
You know
it's so dangerous.
You know how much money that costs them?
And dangerous for all these young kids.
Sexual assaults.
Exactly.
And deaths.
They never talk about that. So
protect them.
we have laws for a reason, and they sure want to uphold laws for spitting on the sidewalk, basically. But it's okay to come into this country in the back door, Doesn't make sense. All right, well, we're going to move on because I have lots. Now, I've got to put some glasses on to see what this is because it's small print. But I have to tell you, it's an email. And I get so excited when I get an email like this because it's having to do with what happened with Harvey and this flood. But it goes a little deeper than that. You know how the far left just knocks our, rednecks, they call them. The redneck guys that like guns and Bibles and all those good things. Well, this is just special. And this is another one. Who did I get this from? Oh, Jerry Helgeson. Okay. Jerry, the last couple of weeks we picked his because I think, and please send them to me. We go through all this stuff. I cannot tell you. We have an hour show. We don't have enough time for everything, but we do try to get them out. And sometimes just even points of view I will get out there. But in this case, they're talking about these men, and they talk about these are the quiet ones. They don't wear masks. They don't tear down statues. They don't, as a rule, march or demonstrate. And most have probably never, ever been to Whole Foods in their lifetime. How about that? Okay, but they do spend several days waiting in cold water, dirty cold water, dodging gators and water moccasins and fire ants, and eating whatever meager rations that are available, and sleeping wherever they can in their dirty, damp clothes. They're so rewarded in tears by the hugs and the smiles of the terrified people that they've just saved. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, these are the people we talk about. And when the men get together, when it's done, they say they might have a beer or throw a few back and then talk about their crazy fishing stories and their 10-point bucks, whatever, and guns and ammunition. They might do all of that, but these men and women are men and women that are the American heroes. These are our heroes. These are the guys that are out there, taking care of us. I'll tell you what, when you see somebody come up and are able to save you, you're sure not asking them if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew. I don't think any of that stuff even matters. It's just a God-fearing person helping another God-fearing person, and collecting their cats and their dogs and their babies. That's what it's all about, and I so wish to heck we could get back to some of that. Anyway, I thought it was a great email. I wanted to share it. Okay, here's some interesting story stuff. How am I doing on time? We got to get going. Pretty decent. All right, Richard Simmons just had a big lawsuit, and I have a point, so please forgive me if I do have a point about talking about his lawsuit. He has a lawsuit because he was absolutely horrified by this gentleman, the magazine that said that he was turning into a tranny and that he was changing over. Well, he said it's a lie, absolute lie, and took them to court and sued them for their defamatory statements. And he lost this lawsuit. And guess why he lost it, guys? Because the judge who took this case on said, what's the big deal? You're acting like being called a tranny is a big deal. So you're a transgender, so what? So what? Anyway, interesting, isn't it, that he lost his lawsuit? There would have been a day, right? There would have been a day. All right, real quickly, we have the gender identity. This is extremely, extremely important. It's something trying to be passed. It's happening in Canada. So understand that. If it's happening in Canada, even a little in London right now, they've taken a child out of a couple's home because they said it was child abuse. May not be, but the thing is they took her cross off, the 5-year-old, and put her and placed her in a Muslim home. So I'm just thinking, well, if it was child abuse, why didn't they place her with Christians too? Somebody with her own faith and whatever. I mean, things are happening all over. And this gender identity, you need to Google it, find out about it. There's a lot of new words like diffusion. It's allowing the government to really take our children away if the parents don't adhere to these identity laws. And this is in London. This legislation has just passed. It's Bill 89, and it's a killer. I look at this and I think to myself, how in the heaven's name, it's unconscionable. Thank God it's there and not happening here yet. Let it fail and mess up their country. We don't need it here. And I predict that if it does come here, and even the whole idea of this is a full-scale assault on our culture, it's repulsive. It's breaking the foundation of this country, the family, everything that we stand for. If this were to ever pass here, can you even imagine? Can you see what's happening right now? What's happening is they are tearing this country apart, brick by brick. inch by inch. Stalin said, give me your children, I can take your country. That's what's happening. Wake up, everybody. Please pay attention. Just this information is out there for you to take a look at, see what you can do. Talk to your senators, talk to your congressmen. Let them know that don't even try this. This is sad. And it's taking place right here, and they are trying to pass this kind of legislation. Trust me, it is. And you go online and you look at gender identity or gender reassignment, children, read it under children. And by the way, we had some stats. Up to 20% of children that have moved that way have had regrets, and 80% of trans kids that have moved in that direction have told their parents that's what they want to be, have changed their mind. And I want to quickly finish up with one little story about me. 5 years old, I wanted to be Superman. So I wanted to be my brother. He's several years older than me, and he got to do so many more things than I did. And I hated being a girl. I hated that my dad would say, you're just a girl. You know, you can't do that. He's the boy, and he's older. And I wanted to be a boy. I wore boys' clothes and hats. I also wore dresses and played with dolls. But I really loved being a boy. So I guess I was considered deemed a tomboy. Any of you out there? Well, just think, if that had been today, where would I be? And the confusion. This is what we're doing with our 5-year-old kids. They literally, right now in London, a woman has an infant baby and she has a health card that says you. It's unidentified. They didn't say male or female. And it is one or the other, but she wants it identified as you. So the child at 3, 4, 5 years old can make up its own mind. That's where we're headed. All right, enough of all this for now. Just for now. We have more. We will see you on the other side of Lea Live and Unleashed. Don't go away.